Yeah, I thought, as far as I thought our pitching was incredible. Obviously, Anderson and Shores did a tremendous job, and then they finished it up there with Evans in the ninth. But, we had a couple of chances to score some runs, and we didn't. Reese hit a home run and got us kind of feeling pretty good down 3-1. And, we just needed to score the next inning, but we didn't. But really it boiled down to Anderson just he didn't give us anything. I mean, he's 11-1 because he's really good. So that's all I got.
All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome into a very special episode of Luttie's Look Back. My name is Nick Luttrell. You just heard from head coach Dave Van Horn right there after a tough loss for Arkansas on Saturday night, 4-1. I mentioned it's a special episode of Luttie's Look Back. You can see it. I'm at the College World Series. It's pretty cool. Normally I'm sitting down. I decided to stand up because, I don't know, I choose to stand. It's a little bit easier than sitting down for a little bit. But this is going to be a little bit of a shorter episode, probably about 10 or 15 minutes is my goal. Gonna take you through the game on Saturday and preview the game today against Murray State. So let's start my show how we always do with my three big things. The first one from Arkansas's loss to LSU. I think the biggest thing, when you look at this game, you go back, you watch the highlights, when you watch this game at home, if you didn't watch this game at all, the biggest thing was LSU's starting pitcher, Cade Anderson. Cade Anderson. That's my first big point. The second, Gabe Gackle might have saved Arkansas's season. We'll get to that in a second. And the third, the Hogs cannot let this affect the rest of the College World Series. The first of my three big things is Cade Anderson. And I think a lot of people knew coming into this game that was their guy. That was their ace. We all knew that LSU, they were led by their two starting pitchers, Cade Anderson and Anthony Ianson. If you're a Razorback fan and you watched the game from a month ago when Arkansas and LSU played, you saw that. You saw both of these two teams go at it. You saw Arkansas get run-ruled one game. You saw Arkansas win one of those games, and then you saw Arkansas should have won the first game and didn't. That's how the previous series went between Arkansas and LSU. On Saturday night, it was a game that was completely and utterly dominated by Cade Anderson. And again, everyone knows he's going to be an MLB draft pick in the top 5 or top 10. Everyone knows he's a special, special player. Arkansas just was not able to stop him on Saturday night. Continually, I don't know if I've seen a pitcher continually pound the strike zone. Like strike after strike after strike. The balls that he was throwing were very minimal balls. And he walked a few guys, but it was guys he felt comfortable walking. He walked the Alloy brothers because he knew those were the only two that really had the power to hit it this far to where I'm standing. No one has ever hit it this far, basically, in this ballpark. If you didn't know, it's an incredible ballpark, but it's really hard to hit a home run in because of its size, because the river is somewhere that direction, not far away from here, so the wind is always blowing in. It's a tough ballpark to get offensive hits and offensive anything offensively going. It's tough for offensive teams to have good games in this ballpark. So you combine that with an Arkansas team going up against Cade Anderson, and that was just a combination that was not good for Arkansas. And you obviously saw that, and they struggled. And it was mainly due to the fact that the ballpark, yes, but because of Cade Anderson. The good thing going forward, Arkansas won't have to see him again. He reached nearly 100 pitches. He dominated. So Arkansas, they shouldn't have to see him again. I guess there's a scenario where you possibly face him on Thursday if he's ready to go again for Thursday, which I don't know if he is. I don't know if he will be. Saturday to Thursday is a pretty quick turnaround, so I would doubt it. He could come in maybe at the end of the game, but he definitely wouldn't start. So if there's any good news going forward, it's that. So that's my first big thing is Cade Anderson and his dominant performance against the Razorbacks. He was the X factor. He was the X factor in Arkansas's loss to LSU. The second one, Gabe Gackle might have saved Arkansas's season. If you don't watch the game, Zach Root, Arkansas's ace all season long, or at least the last 2/3 of the season, it's been Zach Root. In the last two performances, it's been Zach Root. He's been that go-to guy. He's been phenomenal. Saturday night, he was not. And the thing that you can't do in this ballpark, it's a pitcher's ballpark. So again, offensively, you're not going to be able to get much going. It works out for opposing teams' pitching and opposing teams' defenses as well. What you can't do is give up free runs. And Zach Root, when he walked two and when he hit another guy, that's what you can't do. And so that's why DVH pulled the plug so quickly on Root. And honestly, good for DVH, because I don't think a lot of other coaches, I don't think anyone in the stands thought that Zach Root would be coming out of the game after pitching an inning and a third, an inning and 2/3 possibly. I don't think anybody expected that. I didn't expect that, but he did. And good on him for doing that, because I think it did work out for Arkansas. And it worked out because of the performance from Gabe Gackle. You know, here's a guy who's a sophomore this year. He was a freshman last year. He was supposed to be the ace this season. He was supposed to be that guy this season, starting in these type of games, and he just hasn't panned out to be that guy. But when Arkansas needed him the most, he performed on a really big stage, something that the other players didn't do at all. But Gabe Gackle did. And here's why he might have saved the season for Arkansas, because going forward, it's a Razorbacks team going forward that's going to have some momentum, going to have some confidence, because you have Gackle, who just threw his legacy game. And also, Arkansas has a lot of bullpen guys going forward. What they now have to do is win 4 games in 4 days, and they have to rely on those bullpen arms. And it would have been really costly if Gabe Gackle doesn't have that performance, because then you're relying on you're using other guys from the bullpen. Now you have so many of those other guys available, except for Gabe Gackle. You even have Zach Root available in a day or two if he wants to, according to Dave Van Horn. You have him ready. Hopefully he can perform better than he did on Saturday night. But Gabe Gackle might have saved Arkansas' season. If they're able to make some type of run, lean on their bullpen, and the bats can get going in the next few days, somehow, if that somehow happens, it'll be because of Gabe Gackle. So don't forget what Gabe Gackle did in that Saturday game against LSU. That's big point number 2. Big point number 3, my final big point. This game for Arkansas, they cannot let it affect the rest of the College World Series. And here's what I mean when I say that. Momentum. It's all about momentum in these games. In my recent memory, when Arkansas has lost the first game here at the College World Series, they've also lost the second game. That happened in 2019. That happened in 2015. And, they didn't lose the first game in 2018. They won. It's happened in my recent memory. My recent memory only spans back about 10 or 15 years, because I'm a bit of a youngin', considering how old you are watching this. But that's where my memory goes. And so recent history does not favor Arkansas. When they lose the first game, they usually lose the second game. But they can't let that happen this year, because I just feel like this is a team that is better than the teams that we've seen in the past. Obviously, it's better than the teams that we've seen in the past, and it's a team that can do the unthinkable, that can win 4 games in 4 days, knock off LSU 2 times. That's what's going to have to happen for this team to go all the way, to make it to the championship series, which is something obviously they had their mind set on doing, is making it that far. So just one loss, they can't let it affect the rest of their time here in Omaha. It's just one loss. That's why it's a double elimination tournament. They have to regroup, they have to move forward and move on to what's next. And that was, Dave Van Horn talked about a lot of things in his post-game press conference on Saturday night, but that was a big thing when he got asked, you lost your first game. What's the mindset going forward? And here's what he had to say just about turning the page to a new chapter starting on Monday.
Well, obviously, we need to move on from this one and get over it, and not think too far down the road. We just got to take care of business on Monday. We need to play good Monday, because if we don't, there's no Tuesday. And if we can get through Monday, we got Tuesday, and we got to do the same thing. You just can't get all uptight about it. These guys they've come back and won games. They've done some great things this year. So that's what I told them. Right? We got a bullpen full of pitchers. We got a bunch of hitters that can hit, and they didn't have a good night. And we need to move on and get ready for Monday.
Okay, so obviously that leads us to now. Monday's game against Murray State. You're hopefully watching this on Monday morning. If you're watching this on Wednesday, 2 or 3 days after Arkansas has played this game, probably a little irrelevant for you right now, but hopefully you're watching it Monday morning, getting ready for a big-time game. Arkansas facing elimination, which is something they haven't dealt with all season long. They haven't lost in the postseason all season long. They swept their regional, they swept their super regional, and they made it here to the College World Series, and they lose their first game. And that is frustrating, But again, as Dave Van Horn just said, you got to regroup. You got to move on. You can't let that one game affect you. So that's my hope. That's my goal for Arkansas going into this game against Murray State. Quick little tidbits on Murray State, the little that I know about them. They were a 4 seed. They are a 4 seed. That's just what Little Rock was. The Trojans were a 4 seed in the NCAA tournament. That's the worst seed you can get in the NCAA tournament. They won their regional. Was that Oxford? Yeah, they won their regional in Oxford, took down Ole Miss, so they've already beaten an SEC team twice this season. Then they went to Durham, and they beat Duke, a really good offensive team out of the ACC. And that's really the big thing with Murray State. I'm not worried about their pitching. If Arkansas doesn't score more than 2 runs, it's like, I don't know, more than 5 runs. They should score over 5 runs. I'm worried about Murray State's offense. Now, Gage Wood pitching in Monday's game, if he comes out and plays like the Gage Wood that we saw him against Tennessee and in the regionals, no worry about it. Arkansas is going to put up runs in this game. Not worried about Murray State's pitching. I am worried about the hitting. If Gage Wood doesn't bring his A game, I'm a little worried because I know it's just, Murray State's a Cinderella story. They made it this far. Good for them. But they're actually a pretty good team. They're a team that's won 40-plus games this season, and they've made it here. We talk about Cinderella teams, and that's all good and fun, but when you make it to the College World Series, when you're down to the last 8 teams in all of the entire NCAA baseball, you're not just a, Cinderella team, good job, you made it here, high five. No, they're actually a pretty good team. Now, that doesn't mean Arkansas couldn't win 12-4. It might still happen, and I'd love it if that happened. But I'm just saying don't overlook the Racers because I do think they're a good team. But obviously Arkansas is a better team. And if they play like they've played this postseason, besides the LSU game, I don't think there's much to be worried about. And I do not think there's much to be worried about against this Murray State team. I'm confident in the Hogs that they will win Monday's game. And then after that, they'll play the loser of UCLA and LSU. That would be on Tuesday. And there's a couple more scenarios kind of going forward from there. But the easiest scenario for you guys to remember at home, Arkansas keeps winning, and that's good. If they lose, their season's over with. They got to win 4 games in 4 days. If they do that, they're on to the championship series, probably facing Coastal Carolina, maybe Oregon State, probably Coastal Carolina. And if you remember Luttie's look back from last week, I think I predicted Razorbacks beating LSU, which was wrong, but I think I picked Coastal Carolina to be who Arkansas plays. I could be wrong. Might have been picked Oregon State, but I'm pretty sure I did pick Coastal. So, yeah, that's it for me. Charles Schwab Field. Pretty cool to do a Luttie's look back out here. It's a high honor to be out here talking about Arkansas sports. So it's been a lot of fun. I know Arkansas hasn't had a win, but I'm confident in this team going forward. We're going to have an episode next week, and hopefully that episode is like a Wednesday episode because that means I get a day or two to drive back, do it in studio, and be smiling after a national championship win. Maybe not. Either way, we'll recap the entire Arkansas season. We'll recap their time here at the College World Series. That will be on next week's episode of Luttie's Look Back for this week. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next week.